fresh pretzels and Cambozola pub cheese. Pretzels are yeasted bread, so we're gonna bloom some yeast. So this is 1 1/3 cups of warm water, and then a pinch of sugar. I'm gonna stir that up. Now I'm just gonna sprinkle the yeast on top. You don't wanna just kind of dump it in there because it'll clump.
I'm using a 1 1/4 ounce envelope of active dry yeast.
You just wanna stir your yeast around so all the little yeast can find sugar. I'm just gonna let that bloom. All right, now let's make the dough. So I've got 2 cups of bread flour. When you use bread flour, you're gonna get something really chewy. And then 2 cups of all-purpose. There's 2 different kinds of flours here. When you add a little bit of all-purpose, you'll get something a little bit softer. 2 tablespoons of sugar, big pinch of salt. Now let's crack some eggs. Okay, so our yeast is starting to go. Dump this in here. I'm gonna get this going on slow. Now I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of melted butter. I'm gonna mix this for like 3 minutes, just until the dough comes together, it's nice and smooth. All right, there we go. All right, that's a good looking dough. I sprayed this bowl with a little bit of cooking spray so the dough won't stick. There we go. So I'm gonna cover this dough and I'm gonna stick it on top of the fridge because it's nice and warm up there. I'm gonna let it rise for like 45 minutes to an hour. It's time, look at this. Really jumped up. So what I'm gonna do is pop this guy out. All right, so I'm gonna cut this guy right in half. I'm gonna cut it into 12 pieces. So this recipe makes 12 pretzels.
So now we're gonna form these into pretzels.
What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna roll these guys to about 18 inches or so. Now you'll get a nice, big, long snake. So I'm gonna roll the rest of these out and then we're gonna shape them. Now what we're gonna do, take your guy, you make a loop, cross these guys, you have a nice big circle. Cross them again, and then fold this guy over, boop, just like that. Let's just arrange these pretzels here, and we're gonna let these proof for about 20 minutes. And let it rise till it gets like nice and big. All right, so they've puffed up a little, they're really starting to look like soft pretzels. Now, the step we're doing here is really important for pretzels. This is 5 quarts of water and there's a 1/2 cup of baking soda. Baking soda reacts with the starch. When you put them in the oven, it turns them nice and dark brown. So now what you do is just gently take your pretzel and put it in your spider and just drop them in here. So the pretzel's in the water for about 30 seconds. So I'll drop in 3, and then I'm gonna flip them. You see how much bigger it gets right away. And there we go. I'm putting 6 on a sheet tray because the pretzels do get bigger. Just brush these pretzels with some melted butter. Make sure everybody gets a little butter so when the pretzels bake, they'll look even. This is pretzel salt. It's a lot bigger than kosher salt. Okay, now these are gonna go in the oven at 425 degrees for about 12 minutes or so. Oh man, look at those. These look great. They smell amazing. All right, so I'm gonna get these guys off of here and let them cool. And then, for as delicious as pretzels are, we're gonna make something even more delicious. I am gonna make a cheese dip. This is Cambozola. Cambozola is a really soft cheese. It's kind of right in between brie and blue. All right, so here's how we're gonna do this. I have a 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and then 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. And what this is gonna do is gonna help keep our cheese thick. It's also gonna help the fat from the cream and the fat from the cheese play nice. Okay, we'll just mix that up. I'm gonna turn this on low. Now I have 2 tablespoons of honey. Cambozola is pretty sharp and pretty salty. The honey is really gonna round this out. It's gonna be a delicious dip. This is like fondue to go. I have 8 ounces of Cambozola here. And now I'm just gonna slowly start melting this in here. So now I'm adding the cheese slowly so it all incorporates. If I dumped it all in there, it's too shocking for that cream, and those two different fats might start to break. Perfect. I would hate to get out on the trail and find that I didn't season this properly, or maybe the pretzels like didn't work with it. So I think just for, you know, for science, I should probably taste this. Salty pretzel, and this is slightly sweet because of the honey. This is amazing.